Hey, what's up, YouTube? Jamon Shadow here, and today, Thrawns Revenge, the mod team dropped a release of their 2.2 demo, which features the Zinj Galactic Conquest. So basically, this is going to be just a quick little breakdown of everything they expect in it. But first off, the mod is up for download on their page, and I'm going to put a link in the description for the people that don't know what that page is, even though it says it right here. But there's going to be that one person that doesn't know how to get there, and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's on their page. I'm gonna put that link in the description below. So anyway, let's cover the demo. Uh, Basically, it's just gonna be a small GC that only features a few factions. If I recall, it says yeah, the New Republic Warlord Zinj or the Greater Maldrude, and a revamped Hunt for Zinj Galactic Conquest scenario. So here's a basic breakdown of what we are to expect. So some of the new stuff. For the New Republic, we got Wraith Squadron, the MC-80 Home 1 type, Dauntless Heavy Cruiser, Quasars allow for X-Wing use on the ground, and in full 2.2, we should expect the Republic Star Destroyer, which I actually look really forward. I'm really happy to see making a comeback with a new model because the old one was a bit and a lot of people, including the mod team, really hated it. But personally, I liked it. I always liked the little bit of lore that it actually did have, being a joint Kuat Mon Calamari type design. And yeah, look forward to it being back in the mod and with new paint and new physical model. Wraith Squadron is actually something interesting because that was in the sub mod that I posted videos about a month ago before I stopped because life got in the way. But yeah, it's interesting to see that actually making itself as a full fledged hero unit now in the game. Uh, we've got the Home One type. Didn't expect that to actually become an independent unit outside of Home One or certain cases. The what was the admiral's name? His name escapes me, but he had a Home One type cruiser. It's in the sub mod that I posted on my channel. The Dauntless Heavy Cruiser, we've seen that in Ascendancy, so I look forward to that coming back into this as well. Quasars allowing for X-Wing use on the ground is actually really interesting because, the mod doesn't normally have space-based starfighters actually as ground units. Other mods do, but this one doesn't, so giving it a specific unit to actually allow usage of said unit on the ground is pretty nice. And from what I read in the past, if the X-Wing is actually destroyed, you lose the Quasar itself, so it's sort of like a hit or a miss if you actually want to use it or not. Maybe for balancing reasons, we're gonna assume so you don't have infinite X-wing buildability, something like that. But let's move on to Warlord Zinj. So, as it says, new and green. We've got the standard ISD, ISD2, Executor CR90, Nebulon B, B2, Carrack, Dreadnought. We've got the Gladiator and the Neutron Star cruisers, which are also in Ascendancy, but they have really fantastic models. In another video, maybe I'll cover some of those models. I don't know. But they're new. They're really cool. You should go check them out on their page. Strike Cruiser, Acclamator, Quasar, Dominator, Lucre Hulk, the Allegiance. The Allegiance model is amazing. Actually, let's see. Should be able to find an image of this on their page. Let's see. First off, here's the Neutron Bulk Star Bulk Cruiser from Ascendancy, looking pretty sexy. As far as the Allegiance, this is the Quasar model that from Star Wars Rebels. That's whatever. This is the Gladiator Cruiser. Here's the Dauntless. I wasn't initially planning to showcase these images, but whatever. Might as well, just for the people who don't know what these actual units are or look like. If I can find an image of the Allegiance, I will. If not, just search up Allegiance class Star Destroyer. You'll see what I mean. But doesn't seem to be one here, unless I'm just blind and missing it. Um, Actually, I think I saw one in this background. Yeah, it's this thing right here, the oversized Star Destroyer. But yeah, Allegiance Star Destroyers are just literally ridiculously stronger versions of the regular Star Destroyer. They're featured in Dark Empire, and they have a few other sources, I believe. But yeah, you don't see too many of them. But in throughout expanded universe lore, but their appearance is something that's pretty commonly known amongst many expanding universe fans. But in any case, back to Zinj and what's new with that. We've got the ground tie for ground. We've got the Tie Fighter, which is interesting. The A6 Juggernaut, the ATTE, which there's also another image of that. Funny enough. Uh, let's see. Just passed it. Yeah, yeah. The ATTE is actually making its way into this mod, which is really, really interesting. Just to give, I guess, more units for a warlord faction. Makes sense, I suppose, but it's an interesting addition, and I look forward to actually playing with it in the uh, demo and full version. We've got Night Sisters, we've got the 2M tank, ATST, the ULAV. I absolutely do not remember what that actually is. I think it's the transport unit of sorts. I don't know. The IDT, the SPMAT, the Jump Trooper, which is something new. There aren't too many images about that. TIE Crawler, Raptor Troopers, Stormtroopers, Hailfire, droids, Droidica of all things, Shock Trooper, and the Raptor Scout. So a lot of interesting additions, a lot of nice little Clone Wars additions to make this faction seem really more warlordish and just not like a streamlined empire that's just capable of reproducing new types of units and whatnot. Because I mean, they really only made the TIE Raptor as a new, that was a Zinj based product that was produced, so makes sense that there are a lot of older units for a faction based more in the Outer Rim areas. If I recall, Zinj was based more in the Outer Rim. But yeah, so that's Warlord Zinj, and let's move on to the Greater Maldrude. So first off, we've got for space, we've got the Belator. The Belator is a Super Star Destroyer esque ship. I'm just gonna reference this background picture of the Gladiator. It's also featured in Ascendancy. These things are insane. I tried out the one in Empire War Remake by Geronimo. That thing is an absolute monster. Now, of course, it's a difference. There's always a difference between two different versions of it and two separate types of mods. But trust me, never, regardless of what mod you actually fight that thing in, there's going to be a fear factor, and you don't want to mess around with those things unless you're actually using it. We've got the Crimson Command Victory Star Destroyer 2, the I butchered that name, Procursator, which I actually believe there's another image of. Sorry for all these just random images like this, but I feel like it's just important to know your units. So this bad boy right here, basically a pocket Star Destroyer. The Essential Guide to Warfare really brought forth a lot more Star Destroyer variants, which is always pretty interesting to me. We've got the IPV, ISD 1, Ton Falk, basically the escort carrier. There's also a remake of that. Right here. They remade it with a brand new model, and it looks really, really good. The Providence from the Clone Wars, Arquitens, never really pronounced that correctly. Interceptor 4, the Neutron Star, which I already showed off. The Dreadnought, Immobilizer, Crusader Corvette. So, from the Forces of Corruption expansion, that Mandalorian-esque Corvette. Look forward to seeing that. The Providence again. The Secutor, which is a carrier type of unit, which is, let's see, I saw an image of it earlier. Again, maybe I'm just missing it. Right here. Very weird unit. It's in Ascendancy, it plays as a carrier with a Venator bridge on top, so essentially an early Imperial design. It's pretty unique in its own. From some of the demo playthroughs I've seen, this thing is really easy and fun to spam by the AI faction anyway. But yeah, I look forward to actually playing with this in this particular mod. We've got the Allegiance, which I already showed off, the Victory Star Destroyer 1, and interestingly enough, the ARC 170 from the Clone Wars. So there are a lot of Clone Wars-esque units being released with this demo and the full 2.2. Which I really like. I mean, we have warlord factions that aren't necessarily capable of reproducing their own advanced new units, however you want to say it. they're going to be scraping and scrapping for whatever units they can come across. And it's nice to see they're making use of that, making them feel really alive in the mod with all of these Clone Wars esque units. It's really amazing. For ground, we've got AT-AT, AT-PT, TIE Crawler, the Bantha 2. I don't know what that is. The ISP, the AT-AP, Stormtroopers, the SPM-AT. On the AT-AP, I hope they actually buff those because they do little to nothing in terms of damage. Shock Troopers, Jump Troopers again. The T-116 Skyhopper, which is remember the little ship that Luke holds around in A New Hope and from the tutorial missions of Rogue Squadron 3? That unit right there. Absolutely look forward to playing with that. It's such an amazing thing to know that is going to be in this mod. I've seen it in a couple other mods many years ago, and it never really resurfaced past that point. But it's so nice to see the T-16 actually making an appearance again, and as a warlord unit, because the thing, was a ship. It had weapons. That verifies, I guess, as an assault unit. So hey, TX-130 still my favorite unit and my favorite tank type unit in Star Wars. The A9 Floating Fortress. Don't know what that is. Specialist, the ATAA, and the LAT. Coming soon coming in full 2.2, we have the Saranan Star Destroyer and Army Troopers. Saranan has a small history, and I literally just absolutely do not remember it right off the top of my head, but I would go look it up. It's actually pretty interesting. New non-playable factions emergent upon Zinja's death. So basically, and there are going to be certain events within the game where if you kill a specific leader, instead of just hopping from era to era, it's going to separate certain worlds from certain factions, create new factions out of those new worlds, and continue within that era until you achieve whatever goals. There's an entirely different system for the GC in this game, and I'm going to cover that in an entirely different video because it would take too long here. But yeah, for the Corporate Sector Authority, which is emergent upon Zinja's death, they get the Lokerhawk VSD-1, VSD-2, the Marauder Cruiser, the Dreadnought B-1 Battle Droid, and the Droidigo. So yeah, that's pretty much it for unit coverage in the demo, which is amazing. There are so many Clone Wars-esque units, which people have been asking for. Hey, can we get this from the Clone Wars or that from the Clone Wars? Hopefully, this satisfies enough people to the point where there's no longer, a nuisance request for it. Not saying that it's really more of a nuisance, but a large request for Clone Wars units in a Galactic Civil War era, mod. But anyway, on to some other additional changes, because there are quite a few left, which we'll just briefly cover. AI changes. These are some of the best things to expect within this mod. Let's see. So AI will properly stack fleets instead of just sending small fleets, which is annoying. Getting one Lancer cruiser against your entire fleet of Mon Calamari Star Cruisers and whatever. That was annoying. Also, higher fleet and ground force requirements for attacks to occur, which is nice. Fleet should no longer take the longest possible route they can figure out around the galaxy. Easily the best change within the mod, because that's absolutely annoying when you're not paying attention to the route your units are going, and 5 minutes later, your units have not arrived at the planet you designated them for, because they're still flying around the entire outer rim of the galaxy. I don't know. It was annoying, and I'm glad to see that's changed, finally. AI defense fleets will not sit under space stations, which is also really nice. So if your AI unit faction has, I don't know, say 5 Golans around Kuat, they just don't sit under them. At least that's what I'm getting out of this. I look forward to testing that out in a later video. General changes. Most, if not all, particles and projectiles have been overhauled. Firing rates for all ships are reduced and power adjusted accordingly. So fire is no longer in sheets, which is nice. It's basically saying that we no longer have Christmas light lasers, which is nice. I'm actually really happy about that, as much as I enjoyed that as a specific graphical feature of previous Thrawns Revenge titles. Glad to see it's kind of going away now, because it's really a lag-inducing issue that, while visually somewhat appealing, was also really visually painful from time to time. But glad to see that that's a change. New HUD display, or new HUD style, full UI rework and process for full version, including mini icons. Several icons in the demo are just placeholders. Nice. All space backgrounds redone. Beginning work on damaged particles and death clones. Redone models for the Magnificent, the Battle Dragon, the Vindicator, the Immobilizer, Quasar, Tall Falk, all ISD and VSD models. The CR-90, the Nebulon, the Venator, Acclamator, Lambda, the Bothan Assault Cruiser, which is actually really interesting. I didn't even know they were making a new model for the Bothan Assault Cruiser. Almost every tie or letter wing fighter. That's also really cool because the default Forces of Corruption models are really older and tired. And if you noticed in my previous videos, I pretty much replaced all of those units with the ones from the Use All Gone at War free-release models, which, while causing admittedly a lot of lag, they were more visually appealing than the original models. Uh, Models being redone for full version. We've got the Providence, the Executor, the Dreadnought. That's interesting. The Executor and the Dreadnought, the Secutor, the Loki Hawk, the Strike Cruiser, Nova Cruiser, and these are only the ones that are just in progress. So we've got it. That's it for graphical changes and AI changes. We've got a long list of gameplay changes, which we'll cover really quickly. There are more story events. Ground unit speed reduced to normal. Many larger, worse mod maps replaced with base game maps. Testing a unit upkeep cost mechanic, provided it doesn't reduce AI desire to build ships, because that's an issue. These are some of the new battle events. Raid fleets now temporarily prevent retreat and give more obvious warning. At least 3 other battle events and styles planned for full release. For ground slots on most planets, economic structures limited to 3 per planet, which I don't know how I feel about that with the low economic system for each faction as it is. Maybe they upped it a little bit. Infantry companies are individually commanded, which I actually like because I always like having absolute control over my infantry. Infantry can fire while running. That's really, really cool. Infantry companies now come with different roles, including scouts, medics, and grenadiers. Heavy repeaters coming. I can't speak today in 2.2. Each primary infantry company comes with a captain who provides a combat bonus. Jedi units given berserk ability to adjust for melee being terrible. 2.2 New Republic infantry models to be redone, including species diversity. This is basically covering like the Quasar to ground, or the Quasar giving X-wings for ground thing I talked about earlier. Fixed issue with prison script preventing all aliens civilian spawns. Rate of turn adjusted for capital ships. Larger ships should now turn more slowly. Firing cones are also being adjusted. Some balancing for the ground. All company numbers adjusted. Rockets now generally are very effective against armor and structures. Really bad against infantry. Which I've always been kind of 50-50 on. I feel like if a rocket hits a soldier, it should kill that soldier. But, for balancing reasons, I guess that's fine. Essentially a buff to the IFX, or IFTX, AAC, the Plex Troopers, the LAT, IDT, everything with a missile, which is really good because the AACs really don't do that much damage against vehicles, and neither do the IFTXs. Plex Troopers, I don't think the Stormtrooper Plex Troopers need a buff. Hopefully this doesn't include them because they already do a ton of damage as it is. Air units now significantly more vulnerable to various units. Some stat changes, which is nice because we all know how broken the hand air units are. We won't even go into discussion about that. The XR-85 droid tanks, or death lasers, are significantly nerfed, and they are not present in the demo. All Empire of the Hand vehicles nerfed, which I'm absolutely happy about because their land units are just unbearable sometimes, especially the flame tank. That thing is just ridiculous. And like I said, the air speeder, glad to see that's getting nerfed. Brought in line with other factions. Buildings have anti-infantry turrets, some other stuff for 2.2, more 2.2 stuff. Full review of abilities and bonuses for units, heroes and planets. Let's see. Research system implemented for the New Republic, Empire, and Remnant. I will read about that on their main page. I'll possibly make a separate video about that in addition to the GC discussions. Air system expanded just beyond hero death. Like I said, different conditions and consequences apply to losing Imperial leader. Imperial players can also choose to change the arrows manually in some cases. meaning you can end an era early instead of trying to suicide your specific leader in order to change that era, which is fantastic. Some miscellaneous stuff. Unit and hero text will now directly list bonuses and fighter spawns doing a new pass on planet, unit, and hero text. So maybe some just new descriptions, more detailed descriptions, and more entertaining descriptions. Raid fleets now give a better indicator of when they're coming. Tech tree displays are being worked. Working on voiceover as many units and heroes as we can, and this isn't exhaustive for the full 2.2. However, it should cover the main points of the demo. So, yeah, this is basically it for the 2.2 demo. There was an additional patch today that was dropped to fix some current issues with the release demo. So infantry take annoyingly long to deploy from transports. Some ships jump in and then disappear in and then jump in again as a part of the multiple layer script that is finished. Everything in green is just basically changes that have been fixed for the demo. Everything else in white are still issues that are haven't been done yet. But yeah, I won't go into too much detail about this. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, that's pretty much the base cover of the 2.2 demo and the 2.2 update that we expect sometime this year, if I recall. If not this year, but way later in the future. It's really a really big work in progress right now, so to expect it to come out anytime soon is pretty foolish. They're working absolutely insanely hard to get this project done, and as fans, we should be really supportive and appreciative of what they've done and what they will be doing in the future. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty certain I covered everything as far as I know, and yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be a let's play of the demo coming up soon. I have to get my feet wet with it a little bit. I'm on spring break right now and I have a lot of time to record some stuff. So I will see you guys in the next video. May the force be with you all. Peace out.